Welcome to SveNFL.
What is up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Give me Sarah.
Two Americans living in Sweden talking about football.
Oh, yeah. You know we got to talk about football.
Yeah, man. We are here. The season is less than 2 weeks away.
Bro.
Almost
what is
a week away.
Wait, but what's today?
Thursday is the first.
Today's Wednesday.
Today's when tomorrow is a week away from the
We're
season.
a week away from
actual
football games.
I thought it was Tuesday, man.
Let's see, Thursday, Friday. 3 days away from college football season, like actual football games.
Which I'm going to try to get more into this year. Just what I need.
Unfortunately, the best game comes on like really, really late this weekend. LSU is playing Florida State. That's going to be a banger.
Oh, wow. I hope LSU beats that shit out of Florida State.
Yeah, me too. Georgia's playing like UT some fucking tomato can.
A shit bowl brought to you by X-Lex.
That's going to be an ass whooping, huh?
I believe so. Before we get started, huge shout out to Brisket and Friends.
Yes, man.
This past weekend's barbecue festival was slamming.
I didn't see no listener came up to us.
No
listener came up to us and said anything. But if y'all did go, then you got some good food. If you didn't go, you missed out, man. It was cool. The vibe was nice.
Yep.
There was good music.
Yep.
And the slamming food, man. A lot of different barbecue shacks came together and Brisket hosted it.
I don't know about you, but I got fucking turnt. Like, I was like, my journey home.
Yeah.
Okay, so my journey home, I came by bike.
Yeah.
I left.
Smart.
Because I lived right around, kind of adjacent to where the thing was. And
so you came by bike. How'd you leave?
Well, I left theoretically by bike.
But more by bike, like beside bike?
I'm not really. So here's the thing. I got home and I realized I had dropped my bike lock somewhere between the barbecue festival and home. So I just left my bike, outside of my apartment. And then the next morning, I was like, you know what? It's not that far away. I should backtrack and go see if I can find it. But here's the thing. There's two ways to get to this place. There's two logical ways to get there from my house. Mm-hmm. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember which way I went. I really couldn't. I remember one thing about my journey home from the barbecue festival is that about 1,000 meters from the barbecue festival, I found a dumpster that I decided to pee on. And guess where I found my bike lock? It was right there at that dumpster where I took a piss.
Wow. And you were like, man, I know I went to the dumpster, so maybe this will show me which way I went.
Yeah. Well, my plan the next morning was like, you know what? I'll go one way all the way back, and if I don't find it, then I'll just come back the other way.
Smart.
And then I'll probably find it. Because who's going to pick up some shitty old bike lock that you don't have the key to? Anyway, I went back to the dumpster, and I found it right there where I had pissed the day before.
Hopefully you didn't pee on the lock.
Given
so what, right?
Given my inability to remember all the important details of what had happened the day prior,
it's kind of likely.
It's kind of hard to know, really. But regardless, so as much as I don't really remember all the details of my journey home, I remember everything about the festival. We had a great time. None of the listeners came up, but we did get approached by some random Steelers fan who bought us drinks. Remember that guy? There was a guy. He saw my Georgia shirt, and we started talking about football.
Yeah,
and
but he didn't. He's gonna start listening. He said.
Exactly. We acquired a new listener.
Yeah, that's what we're there for. Shout out to Brisket. This episode is brought to you by Brisket and Friends.
Unofficially. Yes, unofficially.
They're sending us chicken lollipops as a.
Oh baby, let's go.
You know what? One thing that was missing from the menu, and I understand they're focused on the meats. But I could have used some of Brisket's sides.
Correct. The other thing, okay, I'm with you 100%. I could have used some of that mac and cheese, some baked beans, some fucking coleslaw.
Potato salad, coleslaw, yeah.
Right? Or cornbread.
Somebody had
even.
Coleslaw. I saw some coleslaw there somewhere.
You know what? I saw some coleslaw too, but wasn't it like on a sandwich or something?
So it was like a vegetarian tent or something.
Oh, maybe that's why we didn't go there. The other thing that I feel like was missing, you're gonna have barbecue. Somebody's gotta show out with some fucking peach cobbler or banana pudding.
Yeah,
or
the
something,
desserts were
you know
lacking.
what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't see any dessert, but all they had was marshmallow on the stick for kids.
Nah.
But that was the first time at it, and next
You know
time
what?
be
Maybe
better.
next year we'll join. Maybe next
I
year
wanna
we'll
know,
jump in with a
yeah.
booth and we'll just fucking serve peach cobbler and banana pudding.
Hell yeah! Get my mom to come here.
We'll
She was
show
there.
out.
My mom liked it too.
We'll fucking, we can somehow work the pod into it or something. Or
the
what? We should talk to
SveNFL
them.
barbecue dessert tent.
Bruh. This is
And we'll have football, NFL Network on in the background.
This is a
while
legitimate
we're serving
idea.
dessert.
This is a legitimate.
Peach cobbler, banana pudding.
Uh-huh.
What else is good barbecue dessert? Some type of apple thing.
Well, I mean, apple pie?
We could do apple pie. Yeah. Sandra makes a good apple pie. Apple crumble.
Apple crumble.
Apple crumble.
Apple crumble. There you go. That's easier to do for a crowd.
Yeah.
Apple
just
crumble.
Boom. And we'll charge reasonable prices too. And all proceeds will go to SveNFL.
Exactly.
It's on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit the guy up. I saw the guy, the brisket guy. He was there too, man. At
Yeah,
the door,
yeah.
greeting people. Damn. Well, we solved that.
Well, there you go.
Next year, y'all gotta be there.
Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys later.
No, we got some football to talk about, man.
We do have some football to talk about. I was thinking we can try to sort of zip through the news. There's a lot of stuff, but then we want to start doing our division previews.
Yes.
Right? So today we were hoping to get through all of the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the next episode, we'll go through the AFC. And then in the episode after that, we're going to be not only making our season predictions for who's winning all of those divisions, but also MVP,
rundown.
All that stuff. Plus, our first episode where we're going to fucking flip them and pick them, y'all.
Yeah, baby.
It's time.
Flip them and pick 'em time. I got to set the calendar up. I mean, set up the whole spreadsheet that the listener sent to us.
Do you mean the spreadsheet that we abandoned mid-season last year?
We didn't abandon it.
I felt like I abandoned.
Yeah, I did it. I started doing it.
Captain Analog over here. Like I want to fucking write it down on a piece of paper.
But you never stopped writing.
No, I didn't.
But
I kept going.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I roll. Speaking of which, why bury the lead? Let's get to the story that everyone has been talking about. The red-hot quarterback battle that is gripping the nation has finally come to a close. Baker Mayfield has defeated Kyle Trask for the role as Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting quarterback.
Kyle Trask, where did he go to college?
Kyle Trask went to University of Florida. He was a Florida Gator.
Yeah.
And
They call him Kyle Trash.
he was terrible. And I loved it. He was there at the same time as Anthony Richardson, and they tried to do this thing where they would, like, when things were kind of struggling, they would sort of, we have two quarterbacks, and then they would sub in Anthony Richardson to like run the ball and do stuff. Like they tried all this stuff, but Florida has been terrible the last couple of years, or they haven't been terrible. They've been mediocre.
Yeah.
And he's not very good. I don't know.
You are trash!
Why they drafted him, but I think it's official. We can say that the White Geno era has officially begun in Tampa Bay, and I'm just kind of curious. Like, have you done like a little bit of a heat check with your brother Jason, who is famously a Bucs fan? How does he feel about this?
In our Facebook group,
Yeah,
I asked everybody for projections.
Right.
Did you see that? Did you put yours?
No, because I told you I'm rarely on Facebook right now.
Oh yeah.
I sort of pop in every once in a while, but
You gotta be on ours though, man.
Yeah, I'll check that one, especially once the season starts, obviously.
Okay. But yeah, he was. He thinks they're gonna tie for third. So basically, bottom of the division, but tie for third.
Who does he think they're going to tie for third with?
Carolina, I believe. Yeah, Carolina.
Okay.
He said Saints are going to win.
Saints are going to win. This motherfucker.
And then Falcons. That was the order he said. Yo, the Saints are going to win that division.
We'll see. We'll see.
I think that's one of the easier ones to call.
You got to be kidding me.
I do think.
You know what? We're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay. We're getting ahead
Put
of
some
ourselves.
respect on my name.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get into that later. The other big story this week, this one's probably the most confusing one of all. 49ers trade quarterback Trey Lance to the Cowboys for a 4th-round draft pick in a deal that has a lot of people scratching their heads on both sides. Now, just for clarity, this all started when we learned that Lance was beaten out to the QB2 spot by none other than Sam Darnold.
Yeah, man.
No disrespect to Sammy D, but this is quite a strong indication that the 49ers, at best, greatly misevaluated Trey Lance as a talent. And at worst, they just flat out failed to develop him. I've heard takes on both sides. You know what I mean? Where some people are saying like, well, maybe they just picked the wrong guy, but some people are saying that maybe the coaching staff just wasn't patient enough, because I think it would be hard to argue against the fact that Trey Lance never really got a legitimate chance to prove himself.
Yeah, but if you're in the camp and you start building your roster and you're not up to par, man, all you've had time to do is, the offense didn't change.
No.
All you had to do last year, the entire season after the injury, is learn the playbook in and out. You should not get out. I'm sure he's got the talent, like, right? Doesn't he? Isn't he?
I'm sure.
He can throw the ball. He can move.
Yeah.
It's like he shouldn't. It has to be where he's still missing out on some concepts or something.
Or it could just be that, like, maybe they kind of. In a way, I think the pick was wrong to begin with. Like, he just
definitely
doesn't seem to fit the kind of Shanahan quarterback model. Because think about, because I jotted this down. It's kind of like Lance was the former number 3 overall pick. Okay.
They traded up.
And the 49ers, they gave away 3 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick for a quarterback from North Dakota State who only played 2 actual seasons of college football, a guy who only had 318 pass attempts in his entire college career.
You know what else? He was at a bigger school, and they had him playing wide receiver.
Right.
And he left there, so he couldn't even take that job.
Right.
And that's when he went to North Dakota State, a smaller school.
Yeah.
So that should have told you everything there. But you know what else was a theory out there?
Tell me.
It's during the pandemic.
True.
So people couldn't actually go and evaluate like you can actually go and evaluate now. So these people are talking to other to people on the staffs and stuff like that. That was their way of evaluating back then. And then every player like had their pro day. But you know what I'm saying? It was like, so it's in a little bit of a different. Almost everybody gets a pet. It's gonna be like all messed up when you look at that draft.
Yeah, I don't know, because okay.
You also could have got Micah Parsons.
Exactly, and that was what I was going to bring up. It cannot be forgotten that this trade that they made with your Dolphins to get that number 3 overall pick that they wasted on Lance allowed the Dolphins to acquire Jalen Waddle, and then later using some of those picks to trade for Bradley Chubb and Tyreek Hill.
Didn't they get Jalen Phillips already too, or was that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
And then of course, as you alluded to, if you look back on the 2021 draft, here's the short list of players on the board when Shanahan took Lance at the 3 spot. Okay.
All right.
Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Patrick Surtain, Devonta Smith, Micah Parsons. That's what he passed up for to get Lance. And now he uses the excuse that, we were hoping that we'll never actually be able to, we won't be picking that high ever again. Like we're trying to get good now. But it's still like, what an absolute gamble to take a guy like this that
it goes with it. It's Shanahan. He's an absolute gambler.
Yeah, but I think that sort of misses the fact that he might actually not be that good at evaluating quarterbacks.
But he didn't get to actually evaluate him.
But think about he also passed up on Patrick Mahomes in 2017. He had a chance to pick Mahomes, and he passed him up because that year, famously, I don't remember who their quarterback was at the time, but he was like kind of a serviceable quarterback who was kind of on his way out the door. And Shanahan explained it later that what he was really trying to do was sort of he was trying to pick up Kirk Cousins in free agency. That was who he was targeting.
Oh.
And then I personally think that this what clearly turned out to be a huge mistake in coveting Cousins over Mahomes led him to making this mistake of going after this raw, unproven talent, which is precisely what everybody thought Mahomes was at the time. So he basically he tried to make up for the mistake that he made in 2017. He took a swing and he fucking missed.
But what else does he have?
But he's still a genius. I just want everybody to know he's still a genius.
What else does he have? What else do the 49ers have?
Well, the 49ers have a great defense, and they have great skill position players who know how to fucking catch the ball and run.
They have a top
forever.
5 roster in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's only missing a quarterback.
But that's what they always say about them. And I'm not convinced.
They weren't saying that when they were in the Super Bowl with Jimmy G, right?
I think a lot of people were surprised that the 49ers were in the Super Bowl.
Which speaks to the coach.
I remember people saying that the 49ers were there despite Jimmy G, not because of him.
I remember that too. I felt that way too.
Anyway, everybody knows that I got issues with Shanahan.
I think you got to let that go, man. That dude's going to be around, bro.
I'm actively rooting for him to fail, so it's not a big deal. So let's switch over to the Cowboys side of things. Mm-hmm. Why the hell do you give up a 4th-round pick and agree to pay this $5.3 million salary for a quarterback, Trey Lance, who is probably going to be your 3rd-string quarterback this year, right? They still have Cooper Rush. Remember what Cooper Rush did last year when Dak was hurt? He won football games.
You know what sound we need on soundboard? We need the Jerry Springer. Jerry.
No, I'm not. Serious.
That's the other one that works in this particular situation.
And what is he doing? They need to take him out, man.
I mean, I know it's only a 4th-round pick, but honestly, I think it's too much, especially for a guy who's...
Let him get cut.
As I just said, he's either overrated or misevaluated out of college.
Let him get cut, man.
And yeah, you could have picked him up for absolutely nothing. You could have taken this kid off of the street. I don't understand this trade at all. From either side. I really don't.
Well, no.
I mean, I understand.
49ers cutting their losses. They realize he's not the guy. This is what you do. This is what you do as a smart football team. And don't forget, John Lynch is the GM, not Shanahan.
Yeah.
But as a smart football team, you cut your losses and get what you can so you can get something back, instead of just letting them walk on the street. And if you find somebody dumb enough to give you a 4th-round draft pick for what seems to be a 1st-round bust, then you do it.
That's actually the part that I agree with you 100%. Yeah. It's like they went out there and tried to find somebody. What I'm shocked by is that they actually found somebody to give them something of value.
And what else do they have on their roster? They have a starting quarterback that seems to be good, decent.
Apparently, Jerry made this deal.
They got with the last pick in the 7th round. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're doing all right, man.
Apparently, Jerry made this deal without really consulting anyone. Like they asked him, and they asked McCarthy, they asked Dak, neither one. And then they asked Jerry, and he said, "We didn't tell anybody we were doing this until it was done." So he didn't even consult the coaching staff.
That's something you shouldn't even say, though, if it's true.
But I know. But he's out there saying it like he's a fucking...
What does that say about the heat of McCarthy's seat?
Yeah. Yeah?
That says... That's make your first coach fire bets, even though I think McCarthy's going to outperform.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to some good news. Raiders and running back Josh Jacobs have reportedly agreed to a 1-year deal worth up to $12 million. Jacobs had initially held out for the majority of the offseason and preseason, refusing to sign the $10.1 million franchise tag. But then I guess the Raiders had a change of heart and said, you know what? This guy... The reports that I'm hearing is that the owner essentially came to the conclusion that Josh Jacobs is the sort of heartbeat of this team.
He's the one good Josh on that team.
Exactly.
Because McDaniels got to go.
He led the NFL in scrimmage yards last season, 2,053 total yards.
He's a beast.
So, yeah. And, you know, and then the other guy who had to deal with a running back situation, Jim Irsay, as of this morning, has decided not to trade Jonathan Taylor after seeking what was reportedly he wanted a first round draft pick for Jonathan Taylor.
What's wrong with him, man?
It seems a little bizarre. I think he was just trying to sabotage the deal from the get-go.
It is what it is. It is.
I didn't mean to do that. My bad. My fingers went nuts, man.
So Jonathan Taylor officially remains an Indianapolis Colt, and then they immediately put him on they put him on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, which means when you do that at the beginning of the season, it means it's sort of like going on IR. But I guess
for IR means you have to wait 4 games. That's the difference.
So no. He has to miss the first 4 games of the season from being on the PUP list as well. If they put you on the PUP list at this point in the beginning in week 1, the lead up to week 1, it's basically the same as being on IR.
Damn.
Yeah. So that may have been
what's with these owners, man.
That may have been part of the problem as well. Like Miami was the team that everybody thought that was kind of the one that was sort of jockeying to try and get Jonathan Taylor.
Chris Greer was like, "Hey, we don't get fleeced, we fleece."
Yeah, exactly. and as much as I think it would have been great for Miami to have a running back as good as Jonathan Taylor, giving up a first round draft pick for a guy who's not going to play the first 4 games of the season, and and you're not really sure, like, physically where he's at, so it's like, I think it's smart for Miami to be like, nah, you know what, fuck it.
And Miami's released Myles Gaskin,
right?
So they're happy with their running back room.
But what's weird to me is that, and this will obviously be impossible to tell how this is going to play out until it starts happening, but I mean, just overall bad vibes in Indy.
Yeah.
Between the owner and their what is effectively the best player on their roster. And when he does come back to play, like, is he really gonna, what's he gonna play like? Is he really gonna go for it, or is he just gonna,
it's really bad.
I mean, I guess, he can come back and be like, you know what, I'm gonna show this motherfucker how good I am, and then I'm gonna secure my next gig somewhere else.
I feel like they want another high pick.
It seems very strange.
It's like they wanted to get some, they're thinking about the draft already.
And it's not like he doesn't have the money, because in a slightly related story, Lolita, the orca whale that
shout out to Lolita,
Colts owner Jim Irsay was going to pay $20 million to release into the world, has unfortunately died. So the whale is dead.
How did she die?
I don't know. They realized
clubbed.
That
no, I'm just
I don't know.
I left that part out, that she was clubbed by Jim Irsay.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna get my money.
Or was Jonathan Taylor seen on security footage? I'm not really sure. It's kind of hard to say.
Jonathan Taylor said,
"Tell him to bring me my money."
Give my money to a fucking whale.
Oh, man. Sorry, Lolita.
Yeah, so, yeah. There you go.
Well, he got the money now.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it'd be very frustrating to be a Colts fan. If we have any Colts fans out there, I feel for you.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, exactly. The other one, well, I don't know if the Chiefs really need thoughts and prayers, but it appears that Chris Jones, their all-pro defensive tackle,
this is big, man.
He's been holding out apparently for Aaron Donald money, is what they're saying. As of last week, he was indicating that he is willing to extend his holdout for as long as week 8. Like, he's saying, like, I'll take the fucking penalties. I'll take the fine, whatever fines you want to give me. I'm good. I got money.
Tell him to bring me my money.
That's one of my new favorite sounds.
He's clearly their best defensive player.
Yeah.
He
went off in the Super Bowl. He went off in the Super Bowl, man.
He did. And he's it's kind of hard to argue that he's not worth the money. He's made the Pro Bowl each of the last 4 seasons and was first team All-Pro 2022 on the Chiefs team that won the Super Bowl. He tallied a career high 15.5 sacks last season, in addition to 44 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. It's a lot of money he's asking for. And I don't know who else would give that to him.
But Mahomes has some crazy generational contract, right?
True. It's spread out.
Man, but you can't. I don't know, man.
Well, they're certainly not spending any money on receivers. I can tell you that. I mean, they just they do with receivers what Shanahan does with quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
I was just going to say that.
They're just like, whatever, we don't care. Oh, you? They just throw something at somebody.
Hey, you with the T-shirt on. Swimming.
Yeah.
You swimming with a T-shirt on. Come and be.
Just throw something at a dude. If he catches it, you're in. Yeah. Going from best to worst, Cardinals had a busy Thursday as of last week.
Yeah.
They started off by trading linebacker Isaiah Simmons to the Giants.
What? That's the fast motherfucker, right?
Mm-hmm, for a 2024 7th-round pick. They followed up with trading offensive tackle Josh Jones and that 7th-round pick to the Texans. And then the cherry on top, the Cardinals swoop in and make a deal to acquire Browns backup Joshua Dobbs, who now joins what might be one of the funniest quarterback rooms in the entire NFL. So we have Joshua Dobbs, Clayton Tune, David Blau, and Jeff Driscoll. But as of yesterday, did I say Colt McCoy? No, I didn't. Colt McCoy wasn't there. Colt McCoy got cut yesterday. And then head coach Jonathan Gannon turned around and said he's not going to name a week 1 starter yet because it gives him a competitive advantage.
I saw that.
I was like, bruh.
But you're competing with
who the fuck
worst
are you,
record in the
who are
league.
you trying to kid?
I want to play a little game, man.
Bro, that's my jam.
I want to play a little game called Where Will Kyler Murray Play Next Year? This is Jonathan Rollins. I'm going to ask Schif Massara, where do you think Kyler Murray will play next year? Will he be an Arizona Cardinal?
No.
Okay, where's the destination?
Well, first of all, I think they're officially tanking for Caleb Williams out of USC. Kyler Murray will play wherever they. You know what? I'm just gonna the first team. This is literally the first team that just popped into my head. I'm gonna say Kyler Murray next year will be playing for the New York Giants.
Oh, and that was where will Kyler Murray play next year? Schif Massara, you win a new car.
Yes. And a trip to Hawaii. Can I tell you, we watched so many when we were in, when you go to America, like you find all these funny channels where they do like the channel is dedicated to like one random thing.
Yeah.
And they just we found a channel that just played back to back to back to back to back Price is Right. The Bob Barker era. And we just had
He
to
died,
watch
right?
it. He did
died.
just
That's
a couple of
probably
days
why,
ago. No. He just died like 2-3 days ago.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Shout out to Bob Barker.
Yeah, he was the man. I fucking love Bob Barker. Let's see. Who's up next? Bills. Von Miller will miss at least 4 games on the PUP list. Still rehabbing a knee injury. So that will factor into how we feel about the division for sure.
Well, it won't affect how I feel about the division.
Yeah, Seahawks rookie wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. Slight fracture on the wrist. Week 1 in doubt there.
Excited about him, man.
He's going to be good.
He's going to be good.
Apparently this injury is not a big deal, so we should see him pretty soon.
Keep your grapefruits out there, y'all.
Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy will apparently miss several weeks. Moderate hamstring issue.
What do we think about him, man? Feels like a little slightly overrated.
I think so.
Like he shouldn't be in the number 1 anywhere.
I think so. I think it's hard to evaluate these wide receivers when they come out of college, especially when they play for a really good team, because we've said this many times before. Being open in college versus being open in the NFL are 2 very, very different things. And I don't know.
He's always throwing his arms up too, wanting the flag and all that stuff. He's probably not used to that. Actually, like these good corners every fucking week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I saw a story there about somebody's.
Which one?
Father died.
This was a crazy story. Where did it go?
It's just.
Where'd he go? Father of Titans cornerback Caleb Farley killed in a North Carolina home explosion. The entire house just exploded. due to
like a gas leak.
Due to a gas leak. Crazy. That was some crazy shit. I don't know why I put that in there thinking.
It's just sad.
That's just random.
Yeah. I hope he's doing all right, man.
What is not random is Cowboys Sam Williams being arrested on controlled substance and weapons charges. This dude has had some problems before coming out of college. There were concerns related to sexual assault charges when he was at Ole Miss. And last year, as a rookie, he was involved in an accident where he was driving 98 miles per hour and smashed into another woman's car, put himself and this other lady in the hospital. Now,
Fuck that guy.
What's even more ridiculous about this situation is that Jerry Jones, as he does, decided to comment.
Fuck that guy.
Predictably, his response was like certifiably insane.
Okay.
He said, well, first of all, I'm seeing that he is, which is more often the case than not. This sounds a little hollow, but he does and is maturing, he said. And he is, what was he? He was going 66 miles an hour this time, right? So he's 34 miles an hour less this year than he was last year. So 98 to 66, that's improvement. This was Jerry's response. Jerry's like, okay, well, at least he wasn't driving almost 100 miles an hour. He was only driving 66 this time. Jerry, what why does he fucking talk so much?
Take the mic from this guy, man.
But I don't know.
Totally embarrassed and totally ashamed.
I don't know much about Sam Williams, but he must be good at football. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Jerry Jones would not be coming.
But he's the same guy who defended Greg Hardy.
True.
Had the girl in his trunk on top of guns.
Very true. We got a lot of there's some sort of bizarre cut down stuff. Yesterday was the day everybody had to get their rosters down to 53 men. One of the weirder things that happened yesterday is that the New England Patriots waived both of their backup quarterbacks.
Yeah. Everybody liked Zappy.
Both Bailey Zappi and Malik Cunningham. So now, as of right now, they literally only have one quarterback on their roster, which is Mac Jones.
They're like, now, how you feel now, Mac? I don't feel threatened
We're
anymore.
sorry. We're really sorry. They're just
I no longer feel threatened, Mr. Belichick.
It appears that the Bengals have crowned Jake Browning as their official backup quarterback.
That's a shitty name.
Yeah, which is kind of significant. I mean, we don't really know what's going on with Joe Burrow.
If Burrow goes down, Zach Taylor's going to have to coach.
And I don't know anything about Jake Browning. Yeah, exactly.
Browning might be shitty.
Yeah, absolutely. What else do we have? Well, the Chiefs crowned Blaine Gabbert as their backup. I guess that's interesting to somebody.
Gabbert, man. Remember all the high hopes for that guy?
Yeah. Two other guys
He looked all right in the preseason.
who had some hopes. Nathan Peterman and PJ Walker, both cut by the Bears. Remember PJ Walker last year stepping in?
Yeah, Carolina.
He played pretty well last year.
Yeah, but he'll throw picks right away. He'll come out and he's a gunslinger.
Mm-hmm. Who else we got here? Damar Hamlin. This is the feel-good story of last year. Nearly died on the field. Mm-hmm. And now he's officially made the 53-man roster for the Bills. So I think you can go ahead and book him for Comeback Player of the Year.
Oh, yeah. He's got to have a good season, too, though.
He just has to not die. And he's going to win.
That would make him most improved.
There were a bunch of kicker trades yesterday. It was like, it was like a flirt, not a bunch, three, I guess. Let's see. The Saints traded their kicker Will Lutz to the Broncos.
Saints are falling apart, man.
Which means that Blake Grupe is now the field goal kicker for the New Orleans Saints. Hopefully, he remembers his stadium pass so that the security doesn't come after him again. Let's see. Who else?
You know they're gonna bring it up every time he hits a big kick.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, they won't forget him now.
The Patriots traded Nick Folk to the Titans, and then the Browns traded Cade York. Or did they just cut him? Oh no, they just cut him. And they traded
We do not care.
for the Chargers' Dustin Hopkins. Which leaves Cameron Dicker. Dicker the kicker.
Tell me more about
Dicker
this.
the kicker is like, is basically fucked, I think.
It'll be all right. Somebody missed some kicks early, and
Yeah.
you'll be back, Dicker.
But that's sort of the roundup. I mean, that's, some of the more notable things that happen, which I guess kind of clears the path for us to start talking about these.
If he gets hurt, do they say Dicker down?
Dicker down. Dicker down! Boy, he really knocked his dick in the dirt there. Right?
Oh, no, Dicker down.
Dicker down, Dicker down, Dicker down, Dicker down.
Dicker down, Dicker down.
Yeah. Let's get into the NFC, shall we?
Let's get into it, man.
Okay, let's fucking do this, right? What are we doing? NFC predictions?
Yeah, man.
We obviously do. I mean, are we still of the assumption that the NFC is the weaker division? So clearly we're saving
Definitely.
the AFC for the next episode.
Best for last.
That being said, I guess we're going to start with well, let's start with the franchise, the division that's full of all of the franchises that everybody wants to talk about. We're going to start with the NFC East.
Okay.
And where a better place to start than the
Champions.
the champions of last year's NFC East
Of the NFC.
made it to the Super Bowl, and were essentially, by some accounts, only a play away from really winning the whole thing.
Jalen Hurts played his ass off in that Super Bowl.
He did.
But that fumble might have been the turnaround.
Oh, for sure.
That was a huge play.
A few things that are
Chris
important.
Jones, right?
He just dropped the ball.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Remember? It just
Yeah.
fell out of his hands.
Yeah,
and then,
that's
of course, so I don't remember who recovered it. Maybe it was Chris Jones. One of the interesting things to remember about the NFC East is that there has not been a repeat champion since 2004.
Valid. Strong point.
That's pretty fascinating.
You think that streak will be broken? I guess we could talk about that when we...
Well, I don't mind sort of I mean, I think the whole point of this exercise is to kind of work through some of the thoughts that we're having, and I actually do not think that streak will be broken. I'm
I'm kind of with you, man.
I have high hopes for the Eagles.
They lost both of their coordinators, bro.
Agreed. They lost both of their coordinators.
They lost some defensive players, too, right?
They did. Didn't they lose let's see. Did they lose Hassan Reddick? I got their depth chart over here. Is it? I don't remember who they lost. I think they may have lost Hassan Reddick. Nope. Sorry, they did not.
Okay.
But they did lose some people. Here's what has me a little nervous, and this I'm coming to you as a Bulldogs fan, as most of you know. Last year was the year they already had a couple of Bulldogs on the defense, and they kind of rotated them in. They weren't really starters, right? And now this year is like, okay, it's time for you guys to show up. And then, of course, they went out and drafted a whole bunch of other Bulldogs. They have like 6 different Georgia Bulldogs playing on this team. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Keely Ringo, and probably some others. I'm a little concerned that the defense, as good as they were last year,
Exactly.
I mean, they had the most sacks of any team in the NFL last year.
That's what it takes.
There's really nowhere else to go but down.
They also, after the season, it was determined that they had the easiest schedule.
And this year they have the most difficult schedule.
But preseason, where they're saying most difficult schedule. Yeah.
Right.
So that's something to think about, man.
I feel like there's going to be, I think the Eagles will still be good, but I think there's going to be some regression.
And as always, people say the Super Bowl hangover for the team that loses. Yes, last season, the Bengals kind of had to shake it off a little bit.
Right.
They had to shake it off a bit, but they got it right at the end of the season. But remember, they started bad. We were all like,
They did. They started off a little rough, and then they heated up. And I think, As far as I remember looking at the Eagles' schedule, and it starts off looking like, that's not so bad, but then it gets pretty heavy in the middle. And I'd be surprised if the Eagles win this division again this year. Which I guess in a way brings us to the Dallas Cowboys, a team that obviously has a lot to prove. McCarthy, in my opinion, is coaching for his life. Yeah. And they still have perhaps one of the best defenses in the league.
But they lost Kellen Moore, man. What are they going to do without the genius mind of Kellen Moore?
Well, I mean, they have Trey Lance waiting in the wings just in case they need him. I mean, I think this defense is legit.
It is. It's going to be a top 3 defense, I think.
I think that I'm not 100% convinced by their receiving core. I mean, I do like CeeDee Lamb, but I don't.
How stupid?
How
stupid are they?
I've never been 100% convinced that CeeDee Lamb is like a true number one.
No. Yeah, same with yeah.
And then you have Michael Gallup coming back, and then they added Brandon Cooks, who, I don't know. I mean, if you look at him historically, he does produce, but I'm not really sure. I don't know. But I think the Cowboys will edge out the Eagles for the division this year.
Yeah.
I kind of think so. I think Tony Pollard's going to be great. I'm a little worried about like what's going to happen. I mean, everything changes if he gets hurt because I don't think they have much behind him. They have, they have one guy I've never heard of, Rico Dowdle.
Oh, Dowdle.
And then they have Deuce Vaughn, who I have heard of, but he's tiny, right? Isn't he that little guy?
I remember Deuce Vaughn.
Is he the one? I keep mixing him up. Is he the one who went to Tulane? Little guy?
You're the college guy. I don't know.
I don't remember. Maybe.
Kansas State.
Oh, Kansas State. So it's not him. It's some other guy. But yeah,
if my name was Deuce, I would wear the 22. It's like, shouldn't you always?
I just feel like the Cowboys have a lot to prove this year, and on all levels, and I think that they will just edge out the Eagles for the division this year.
All right, I do not disagree.
What are your thoughts about the New York Giants last year? Surprised a lot of people. They won.
They beat a bunch of shit cans.
Far more games than anybody expected them to.
Yeah, they were supposed to be the team that everybody can beat easy on their calendar, and then they were the team that beat. They were the team that mediocre teams should beat, but then it turned out that they could beat every team that's.
Didn't they?
Mediocre.
They started out the year like 6-1 or something.
And everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid, and we were like, not so fast.
So, what do you think about them this year?
I really like Dable.
Right.
He got the best. He's like running the Bills offense light. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but Jacobs doesn't have as much. He's like a poor man's Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was his ceiling last year.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know, man. I think they'll probably be about the same or worse. I don't think they'll get better this year.
I think their receiving core is one of the most random in the league. I think they've got, Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton. They went out and traded for Paris Campbell, who used to play for the Colts. The biggest thing they did in the offseason was they went and picked up Darren Waller, who nobody denies is probably one of the best tight ends in the league, but he's had a lot of issues with injuries over the last couple of years. So,
yeah. That was a big pickup, though. That one made me like, oh.
Yeah, and I guess
can't block though.
There obviously you must have some reason to hope in New York. You got Saquon back in the building. You got Darren Waller. That's significant.
Man, when are we gonna start saying Saquon's gonna drop off?
Probably after this year.
It's like
I would say
every year is like Saquon. Oh shit! And then there's an injury.
Yeah.
He's going to have week 3. He's going to have a crazy play that we're all like, there we go. And then week 6 he'll be hurt. Unfortunately. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
I'm actually of the opinion that the New York Giants will finish last in this division.
I might be with you, bro.
I mean, I don't think they're necessarily going to only win like 2 or 3 games.
No,
or whatever,
I think this division is going to might have close to 500 records at the bottom. The bottom of the division be close to 500.
Yeah,
it's not going to be like a six win is the seller.
Right. Well, because the reason why I think that is because and that kind of brings us to the last team in this division. I actually think the Washington Commanders are going to have a better season certainly a better season than I initially expected.
It don't get no better than that, baby.
A lot of good vibes there. Dan Snyder's out. They got
What's Rivera doing?
New ownership. Rivera's a little weird.
He's a flubber, man. He's like when they used to have gaffes. Remember when gaffes existed in politics? Mm-hmm. He's a gaffer. Like he makes gaffes as a coach. Even though now Trump has changed the whole landscape. There's no such thing as a gaff
what
anymore.
is a gaff?
Yeah. But in coaching, you can still have gaffes. Like Lovie Smith, famously, we made fun of that all last year.
Right.
That you play for the tie.
Right.
But he's doing it, man. He keeps but his stuff seems like it's toxic as fuck. The things he does, man.
Yeah.
It makes it look like he doesn't have a grasp of things.
He is a little confusing, I have to agree. That being said, this kid Sam Howell appears to be better than most people had expected. Well, actually, I was on the same train as everybody else. Sam Howell played 1 game in Week 17 last year, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's so good." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's just hold off on that." But I've watched a little bit of him in preseason, and I got to say, he looks. He looks like a very serviceable quarterback, and to me, the reason why I actually think the Washington Commanders are going to be better this year is that I think, for one, I think their defense is healthier this year. Chase Young will be back. He didn't play much of last year.
They should try to trade him while they can.
They should try to trade him while they can.
Get something.
But they should try to trade him around the deadline so they can get maximum value for him.
Oh, smart.
But their receiving core, I love.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were playing well last year, even though they didn't have a very good situation. Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin.
Was it you and me talking about they should have gone after Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah.
Or Cooks, like one of these.
Yeah, sure.
Or Dalvin Cook.
Absolutely.
One of these running backs, they should have.
Well, they stuck with
Gibson, right?
Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. And Brian Robinson is a kid who got shot in the knee last year. So This will be his first full year of football. And he was pretty impressive last year. Mm-hmm. So I kind of think that they might have something. They're not going to win the division, but I think they're going to be feisty. It'd be a hard out.
Yeah.
For sure.
And they beat the Eagles last year.
They sure did.
First team to beat the Eagles.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that Rivera should have kept his mouth shut when he came out saying like he just realized Sam Howell's a good quarterback.
It does not make you...
It's like, you're the coach. You should know everything about your team, man. What are you doing?
It doesnn't...
How long before Bieniemy is the interim? If it goes south, Bieniemy is going to be interim head coach.
Yeah, I think it would have to...
That's another element nobody's talking about, is that Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator, and we're going to see an offense that's probably going to be pretty explosive.
I think it would have to go very, very south in order for Ron Rivera to get replaced like during the season.
Maybe it's the brain cancer thing.
You think it's coming up to...
I think maybe he
should go get checked?
No, maybe when they closed them up or whatever, like they released like there's no filter. So he's just saying shit that you would think and not say. Like, damn, I didn't know he was going to be that good. Oh, shit. What did he say last year with Carson Wentz? He went nuts in that whole thing that we got the clips from.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to speak my mind for a second.
When he goes out there, he's trying to defend the hate on Carson Wentz, who's trash.
Yeah.
Or not knowing that if they win the game, they go to the playoffs.
Yeah,
wasn't that it?
That was crazy. He didn't.
He might be missing. They might have scraped a little bit out of the old brain cells.
Maybe. I still kind of root for him to a certain degree, and I think it's probably because
Bears player. He was a defensive coordinator, really good. Had the Bears defense looking good when they won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. So. And also, he's really been. We've said this many times before. The only person in that Washington organization for a long time that was worth rooting for.
Yeah.
You always kind of felt bad for him.
He's the Nick Chubb of the team, right?
Sure. I'm not quite sure how that compares, but
because the Browns, they brought in Deshaun Watson, and you just want them to suck except for Nick Chubb.
Sure. Yeah, that's a fair point. Fair point. I'm with you there. Okay, so
that's our NFC East, right?
Yeah, let's move on to the South, which is clearly the best division in the NFC. Everybody knows it. Well, I don't know why we should have started with them.
What are we doing here?
Carolina Panthers. Interesting situation. They got a new coach, Frank Reich, the quarterback whisperer, right? And he's got a new.
You are trash.
I'm out on Frank Reich, bro.
I'd love to hear you say that. He's apparently assembled this like gang of like all-star coaches and whatnot. Bryce Young will be the rookie starting quarterback out of Alabama. Preseason has not gone well at all. The offensive line has allowed him to get sacked way more than you would want your rookie quarterback to get sacked. Their defense was pretty good last year, but I just, when you look at their depth chart and you think like, okay, fine, you've got this new shiny toy under center. But he's going to be throwing the ball to Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark, and Adam Thielen. These are their top 3 wide receivers.
DJ Chark.
And their tight end, just in case you were, well, maybe they have a fucking killer tight end.
That's where it's at,
no.
right? Don't they have the guy?
Hayden Hurst.
Oh.
That's who they have. No.
Hey, he can block a bit.
And then running backs, they have Miles Sanders, who they got from Philly, and then they still have Chuba Hubbard, who was there last year. I don't see it. I see Bryce Young's year one going maybe a little like Joe Burrow's went year one, where it's like you're putting way too much of the team on his shoulders, and he's either just not going to be able to live up to the expectations, or you're going to get him injured because he's so fucking tiny. He's a little person.
You know what's gonna expose him?
Tell me.
Is that the team was going down the shitter last year. Then they fired their coach midseason, and then what's the name? Wilkes took over, and the team turned around after losing McCaffrey. So the team had bailed on the season. A coach took the talent that was there and made them a decent team. They were upsetting people. They were looking good in losses and stuff like that. And now he gets this team, and he's supposed to be this offensive guru. And he's come from a place and couldn't figure anything out and kept screaming for these quarterbacks. He's going to get in and fix it. It was with Turtleback himself. Phillip Rivers. Then he brought in, he's like, I just need a good quarterback. Then he brings in Matt Ryan. He could never make it work with anybody.
Yeah.
And now he's got a rookie quarterback that he can do what he wants with, and that's not looking good either.
No. I mean,
this team is going to look worse than they did last year with the interim coach coaching that they didn't keep after the season to start off fresh with this guy who's supposed to be the truth, who hasn't proven he's the truth yet, with ample opportunity.
Agreed. And I wouldn't worry too much if I was a Carolina Panthers fan. I would just say
I'd be worried that this motherfucker is going to be trash and get fired, and now we got to start all over again. And poor Bryce Young's going to have to learn a whole new.
I actually don't. I hear you, and that is a reality that would make me happier than you could possibly know. That being said, I think it's just going to require some patience on the part of Carolina Panthers fans.
Goes to see a doctor?
Yeah, exactly.
Some patience.
It's going to require some patience. I think this year is a trial run to see what's missing. But this ain't it. This ain't a division winning roster. Anybody out there, and I've seen people doing this, picking the Carolina Panthers to win this division. The only way I could possibly imagine that happening is if all the other teams just turn out to be shit, which is also possible. Speaking of shit, that reminds me of the New Orleans Saints. Sergeant Segway in the building.
Yeah, Sergeant Segway.
Biggest upgrade here, or I mean, I hear people legitimately arguing, is Derek Carr actually an upgrade over Andy Dalton? I would say yes.
Yes. Come on.
I would say yes. He also has Chris Olave, who, if there was one player I could steal from the Saints, it would probably be him. He's a great receiver. Michael Thomas is back?
Yep.
Question mark?
Who knows? I think Michael Thomas is get some highlights.
I mean, if he's really back, I mean, pre-injury Michael Thomas was a bad man.
He was good.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, wasn't there? He had one season where he almost broke Megatron's record.
He also had Drew Brees throwing on the ball.
True. Derek Carr is not Drew Brees.
He also had Sean Payton drawing up his plays.
Also, yeah, Dennis Allen is probably your biggest problem in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Also, you've got Alvin Kamara, who will be suspended for the first 4
Alvin
games of the year, which leaves who as their running back? Oh, right. Jamal Williams, who they picked up from Detroit. And then they have Kendre Miller, who is a rookie, I guess.
I don't know what that is.
I mean, Jamal Williams, I don't know if Jamal Williams really gets you where you want to go. I mean, he obviously
go to the end zone.
As long as you're within the 5, around the 5-yard line. I mean, he obviously, anybody who had him in fantasy last year loved him because they gave all of DeAndre Swift's touchdowns to Jamal Williams. But I don't know. We'll see. He's no Alvin Kamara. I heard a really funny story about Alvin Kamara this offseason. That was a report that said that Kamara met with a physical trainer during the offseason and came to the conclusion that the reason why he wasn't as productive last year was that he discovered that one of his legs weighed 4 pounds more than the other one. Like his weight distribution was off. And so, and so they worked to kind of balance that out. And now everyone thinks he's going to be like old school Alvin Kamara. We'll see, but you're going to have to wait till week 4 to see it. Saints lost a ton of defensive players.
If I was a physical trainer, I would do that to all my clients.
Yeah.
They don't know what their legs weigh.
No, exactly.
The problem is
you know what your problem is.
I can tell when you walked in there, your leg weight's off, man. You got to distribute your leg weight evenly. You know what? Come in here. Has your last trainer weighed your legs? No? What kind of trainer did? Well, I'm glad you're here, Alvin.
This is going to be a very expensive problem to fix, but we're going to fix it.
And we're going to fix it because I want you to be the best Alvin you can be. Now sit halfway on the scale. Okay, no butt weight. Remember, no butt weight.
Oh my God, that's a great scam.
This is great, fantastic.
Yeah.
If you sit on my revolutionary leg scale here, I'll tell you what each leg weighs.
Yeah, that's a pretty good scam.
He fell for it, fucking idiot.
The other thing the Saints lost was their defensive coordinator, who went to the Falcons.
Yep.
They lost a couple of their defensive players to the Falcons as well.
This might be where could be where it collapses, but Dennis Allen is a defensive coach.
The only hope I have for the Saints, to be honest, is that there are 2 teams in the NFL who have been deemed to have the easiest schedules, and that is the Saints and the Falcons. So
that shit don't mean anything.
So we'll see.
Especially when you say it every year there's a surprise team and blah, blah, blah.
Totally.
Messes all those rankings up.
Well, that brings me to a team that some people underrate.
Oh, the Bucks. Okay.
Yearly.
Mm-hmm. Bucks, baby.
A team that, historically has underachieved.
Come on, man. Just say it.
A team that I affectionately refer to as my Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, let's bring it in the right way. Let's talk about the Falcons.
Which, honestly, to be fair, it's been a while since you've been able to talk about the Falcons in any kind of real positive way. I mean, a lot of people kind of hyped up the whole Marcus Mariota thing last year, and we saw how that went.
And quarterback,
it didn't go well. But behind all of that chaos and shit, the Falcons had like the second best run game in the entire NFL last year. And then they went out and added Bijan Robinson, who, if the reports turn out to be correct, is considered to be a generational talent, and we probably haven't seen a running back this good since Saquon. We've only seen him touch the ball a couple of times in preseason.
Looks good.
And it certainly lived up to the hype in that respect. Obviously, you just hope he can stay healthy. And then you take a guy who was a rookie last year in Tyler Algier, who quietly put up over 1,000 yards, broke the Falcons rookie running back record. And now here's a guy, he's 1,000-yard rusher last year, and now he's RB2, which is kind of fascinating. My biggest concern with the Falcons, I would say, has to be the receiving core. Drake London got better when Desmond Ridder came into the picture in the last 4 games of the season. He did have some issues fumbling the ball last year, but our wide receiver 2 is essentially Mac Hollins, who used to play for the Raiders.
Yeah, I remember him play for the Dolphins.
I have a funny story about Mac Hollins some other time.
I like him, but if he's one of your top receivers, you got it.
He's kind of crazy. The Athletic wrote a long personal piece about him. Like he doesn't eat food that he can't eat with his hands. And they asked him, what about soup? He's like, I don't eat soup. I'm like, this is this very funny article where he has a lot of weird quirks and shit. He doesn't like wearing shoes either. Anyway, that's for another day. But I have some legitimate concerns about how I'm not convinced that Desmond Ridder is the answer.
This is my problem here, man. This is an Arthur Smith issue.
Yeah.
He fucked up last year.
Yeah.
He fucked up riding the Mariota train, knowing you're not going to the playoffs, or you thought you might go to playoffs.
Well,
but you got to ride that. Look at Pittsburgh. We say Mike Tomlin's a top 5 coach in the league. We say top 3 coach in the league. He has the same situation. You got the veteran guy that could win you some games, could lose you some games, Trubisky. And in your case, you had who was your Mariota. And then he's like, let's see what the rookies got. And he throws him in the fire.
Yeah.
Every now and then, I think he got hurt a little bit, had to come out a little bit. But we got to find out that he's the guy for him.
Yeah.
And Kenny Pickett. And we still don't know in Atlanta when you had a season to figure it out. But he only put him in the last 4 games. And
I can't argue against that. I agree with you. The only thing I could say is
at least we would know.
In Arthur Smith's defense, we had some pretty surprising wins last year that I think could have, like, if you were in his position, you would be like, you know what, maybe Mariota, maybe he's just having a little run of bad luck here and he'll get it back. Like we beat the 49ers last year.
Yeah.
And nobody expected that. And the playoff race was tight. And also it's pretty traditional that if you're going to make a switch at quarterback, you usually do it after your bye week. Our bye week happened to be like in week 14.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Kenny Pickett switch from Trubisky to Pickett, I'm pretty sure that was on their bye week as well. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Week 8, I'm screaming at the television. Yeah. Can we please see what we have?
See what we got. Especially when you're like, okay,
yeah,
we're not gonna win the Super Bowl.
No,
some magic would have to happen. If we're saying that Mariota can get us to the Super Bowl, man,
right?
Then you might be, but it's like, no, I don't know, man. I think he messed up with that, and hopefully Ridder does show out, and then you don't have to worry about it. But if it turns out he's not the guy, you wasted another season.
Agreed. Obviously, Bijan Robinson is probably is like the number one thing that I'm most excited to see in the regular season. I would say in the number 2 spot as far as excitement level is, what is this Atlanta Falcons defense going to look like? They went out and addressed the defense for the first time in a long time because we finally had cap space. We got out of that cap hell because of the Matt Ryan and the Julio Jones deals.
Got a coordinator.
We got a good coordinator. We got Calais Campbell, David Onyemata.
Calais Campbell, old ass.
Bud Dupree is in the building. Jeff Okudah, who may be a bust. He was a first round pick by Detroit, and they
never know.
So we'll see. But I'm genuinely excited to, like, even if this defense is just like a little bit better,
Can be worse.
We could actually win. Like that could really add up to like actual wins just by being a little bit better.
Yeah.
By being an average defense, because we have been one of the worst defenses in the league for about 5 years.
Yeah.
I would say. That being said, the Falcons are going to win the division. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who will probably finish last in this division. I mean, who are we kidding?
Yeah.
We got Baker Mayfield under center. We got Todd Bowles hanging on for dear life as the head coach.
He got such a shitty deal.
Yeah, he did.
They did the opposite that they did when they were bringing Brady in, and they just dumped a bunch of money into the team then. They bought their Super Bowl, and now they are second lowest cap space.
Yeah, they're
still a shitty team.
They're still paying a ton of dead money to Tom Brady. So you're right. They bought their Super Bowl, and now they're paying for it.
$1 million in cap space, $1.2 million in cap space, second worst in the league, behind the Chiefs, who just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just don't really know. I don't have any. I mean, if you're going to say something positive, you would say they still have Mike Evans. They still have Chris Godwin.
And the season's going to start.
Yeah.
There's football's back. That's a positive.
Yeah.
That they're going to play, so that means football's back.
Yeah.
But I feel so bad for, man. It's another. I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I still haven't seen. I mean, they can't, obviously, but you never see a team like really put some effort into building with a black coach, man. And it sucks because it's going to just make it feed to the narrative that they can't do it. It's the second team that Todd Bowles been on, and they put him in the same situation.
I mean,
He's on
it's
the Jets
really,
team that they give nothing to him.
I mean, Mike Tomlin, I guess, is the only exception.
They don't invest. When you see a big splash in free agency for the Steelers.
Right.
The Steelers draft and build their roster old school style, bring players like that, and then they do small trades and stuff. They don't ever spend in free agency like
maybe
crazy.
that's more of a compliment towards Tomlin because he's
the
so
best
good
coach.
at that.
But imagine if they were like, you know what? Let's get Tom Brady in here. You know what I'm saying? Let's get such and such here. That's not a Steelers thing.
No, definitely not.
They treat him well. He has, like he said, he can walk directly to the GM and has his heart, or he can express himself to the GM, and they execute what he needs. But I just don't see a coach where they like really get behind. I mean, they're behind him, but you never see the big splash like that.
Right.
Like they did for Mike McDaniel when they fired. They got the cap right in Miami.
Yeah.
I know they had some tension with Flores or what, it wasn't going to work, but they never dumped money into the team until they got, Mike McDaniel is black, so.
The other thing that's probably going to make the Buccaneers season very frustrating for their fans is that they are predicted to have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and you pair that with Baker Mayfield, and you got some real troubles on your hands.
Yeah.
A guy who we've
5'11".
already seen that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We saw him in Cleveland when he had to run around and play hero ball, and it wasn't pretty. So this could be a dark year for the Buccaneers. I think. Everyone's saying the Cardinals are going to lose the most games. Buccaneers might do the same.
Damn. They might be the creamsicle.
Yeah. And they're going to be wearing those creamsicle uniforms this year.
Damn.
So they were not a very good team when they had the creamsicle uniforms. So maybe it's a bad time. Moving on to what will be a really, really fun division. One that I have to say I'm having a hard time predicting.
The same here.
And that would be the NFC North.
I can't shake my disbelief in our boy
Dan Campbell.
I can't shake it. We're starting with the Lions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't shake it. Sorry.
They have not made the playoffs since 2016, and they have not won a playoff game since 1991. It's one of the longest championship droughts in sports history. I mean, I guess the question is this.
They brought back the hot OC.
They did?
They brought back they're running it back. But it's not like they had the best year ever.
Well, they made some key changes, right?
Yeah, here's the thing they changed. They changed their perception of don't draft a running back in the first round. And Dan Campbell's like, I want to have a smash mouth football team. Let's bring them in here.
They let go of my man, former Bulldog DeAndre Swift.
Mm-hmm.
They let go of Jamal Williams.
Yep.
They went out and got David Montgomery from the Chicago Bears, and then they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round. They also drafted what some are claiming is maybe one of the better rookie tight ends, Sam Laporta. Don't know much about him. Other than that, you're right. They did sort of run it back. They're still going to roll with Jared Goff.
And Ben Johnson's supposed to be an amazing offensive coordinator. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, they also...
They fired their DC.
Who else? Well, they still have Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Marvin Jones Jr. they picked up.
Wasn't he on there last year?
And then Josh Reynolds.
Oh, no. They had a different
Josh Reynolds.
I don't know, man. But you know what they have?
Tell me.
One of the best offensive lines in football.
That is very true, actually. That is very true.
That might be what helps, because you start getting Jared Goff scared, and you got some in the dirt passes and mistakes.
Well, the other issue too is that I think that
they got Teddy two gloves.
You know, I mean the Lions season last year was very Jekyll and Hyde. What are they? They lost their first 6 games.
Yeah, or they went 1-6 somewhere.
Or 1-6,
yeah.
And then they went on an absolute tear at the end. And they became the darlings of the NFL, and now most people are kind of picking them to win this division. I am not so convinced.
Nah, bro.
That, like, I'm not willing to just kind of Sharpie them in to.
I'm gonna stick with my formula, coach quarterback combo.
Okay.
And in the division, I can't say that they're the best coach quarterback combo.
Is that because you think it's Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins is.
Come on, son. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
You think Jared Goff is better than Kirk Cousins?
No.
I was gonna say, get the fuck out of here.
No. I was just kidding. I actually, well,
let's move on to the Vikings. We said our piece on the
Let's move on to the Vikings because, okay, the Vikings also are a very difficult team to predict, given that, 2 years ago, they're the team that's like seems to always be in one-score games in the fourth quarter. 2 years ago, they lost all the one-score games. Last year, they won all the one-score games. And they won 13 games last year with a -3 point differential, which is why everybody thought going into the playoffs, this team is fake. They're Fugazi. They're going to lose.
Who'd
and they played the Giants, and they did. They got thumped. They got beat by the Giants. So it turns out they were kind of fake.
Because there was the fake bowl, right?
Yeah.
The two teams.
Yeah, which one of these fake-ass teams is going to... Yeah, exactly.
Which team actually is going to fake it till they make it? And it was the Giants.
That being said, they still have Kirk Cousins, who we learned from watching Netflix's Quarterback that his brain is literally wired to a computer in order to become a better quarterback. So, we'll see.
Right now he's driving his car and listening to his playbook. So
exactly. And we have who else is in the bit? Well, they lost Dalvin Cook, which means Alexander Mattison is their RB1 this year, who looked pretty good last year, to be honest. When he had to step in when Cook was injured, he was quite good. Kevin
O'Connell is still the coach.
Yep.
He seems like a good coach, man.
I think so too.
The biggest change that people are not, I guess some people might be talking about, is they brought in Brian Flores.
This is what I'm excited to see.
And I think it's not going to be one-score games like that. That defense is going to be playing, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen what this guy could do, taking some dudes off the street and making some fucking lemonade.
Right.
And I think they're going to be – they got 2 capable coaches on the team. One's a really good offensive mind. One's a really good defensive mind. And Flores is trying to get back in that coach seat somewhere. He's going to be coaching his ass off. I think the Vikings might run away with this division.
I kind of think so too. And then obviously you can't walk away from a conversation about the Vikings without mentioning Justin Jefferson. It'll be very interesting to see what he will be able to do the year after being arguably one of the best receivers, or if not the best receiver in the league. I'm also very interested to see what this rookie Jordan Addison will be able to do, given that defenses will clearly be focused on Jefferson for the majority of the season.
Yeah.
I think this kid could really benefit. He's certainly going to have an opportunity to benefit from it, and let's just see if he can step up and do it. KJ Osborne, too. He had a pretty decent year last year, but they didn't use him that much. So I don't know. We'll see. A lot of people are expecting the Vikings to regress. I'm not totally convinced that's going to happen.
You know what team I think people are sleeping on?
Tell me.
Packers.
Yeah.
I got a feeling Packers are going to be better. They're going to look better than they did with Rodgers at quarterback. I think Jordan Love is like, finally.
I mean, the vibes in the building are certainly better from what I've read. I just keep thinking to myself, like, can you imagine if they've managed to do this 3 times in a row? The Packers have been sitting on 40 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play.
Yeah.
And the same things that are now being said about Jordan Love were also being said about Rodgers when he took over for Brett Favre.
You know who the comp was in? They compared Jordan Love coming out of college to like a rawer Mahomes. Because he can make these crazy passes and all this stuff.
If this guy steps in and winds up being their third
It'd be insane.
like Hall of Fame level.
They deserve it. They're the team that's doing it right.
Yeah.
The fans own it. They don't have cheerleaders. Love it. Go Pack.
It's very interesting. They had a pretty good run game last year as well, and they're running it back in that sense. They still got Aaron Jones. They still got A.J. Dillon. These wide receivers were pretty young. Most of them were rookies last year, and they all got better as the year went on. Right? Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, a lot of criticism in the first part of the year, but then all of a sudden they caught it, and now they have a whole year under the system, under their belts. So
and LaFleur is a student of the game, man. He's part of that, that Shanahan McVay. He's got some of both of them.
I worry about the Packers defense, but we'll see. I don't know.
I think that's what puts them behind the Vikings. What you got for the Bears?
The
Bears.
What do I have for the Bears? Low expectations is what I have.
Bears.
I have low expectations for the Bears.
Yeah.
You got Justin Fields, obviously, last year proving that he could do a lot of things off schedule with his legs, but was not a very efficient passer of the football.
They're waiting. It's such a setup. They're waiting for the fall of this guy. They built him up so much last year. Must see TV, and they're waiting on the fall because I don't know if he's got it.
You think they realize that they made a mistake?
The Bears?
Yeah.
I think they're gonna go for it. They're gonna try, but I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know if they made a mistake. We'll see. Yeah, they made a mistake. They made a mistake. Yes, they made a mistake.
The big criticism that they had last year is that he never threw the ball because he didn't have anybody to throw it to. So, towards the end of the year last year, they went out and got Chase Claypool from the Steelers, which I don't know if that's really helps that much. And then in the offseason, they traded for DJ Moore, who used to be with the Carolina Panthers.
Now they just need a number one receiver. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I think you're right. I don't think DJ Moore is that guy. Yeah. They got a bunch of slot receivers. They still have Khalil Herbert running the ball. They also picked up Deonta Foreman, who was also with the Carolina Panthers last year. He's pretty good. He's a sort of hard-headed downfield runner. And honestly, this team defensively, I mean, when they traded my guy, former Bulldog Roquan Smith last year, I feel like this defense just got pushed off a cliff. Yeah. So I don't know what to expect out of them. I don't think the Bears will be very good. Yeah. They'll probably finish last in this division, would be my guess.
Yeah. All right. Last one. We got the NFC West. Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's always fun.
Yeah, it's always fun.
There's only 2 teams I would think are challenging, but we'll start with the best one.
San Francisco 49ers. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, I just think that at some point this idea, this philosophy that it shouldn't, that, under Shanahan, it shouldn't matter who the quarterback is. I don't buy it.
They've been to the Super Bowl with this philosophy.
Once.
Right.
Once.
And the championship game, right?
Yeah, but they always lose that game. Okay. So it has to matter.
Andy Reid did that.
It has to matter.
Andy Reid did that.
With
Super
who?
Bowl, championship games, McNabb.
Yeah, that's true. But I would say, I don't know. I don't want to get into an argument of McNabb versus Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't.
He did it with less. He did it with less. It was NFC as well. He did it with less.
Now, look, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The reason we can't really say how last year's NFC Championship game would have played out if Brock Purdy had not gotten injured. So
they would have lost.
I'll give him that.
They would have lost.
I still think they would have lost.
Yeah.
Because their offensive line clearly could not keep up with the Eagles' defense that was just literally flying in the back, like living in the backfield.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. I'm of the opinion that at some point this idea that the quarterback doesn't matter is eventually going to catch up with
That's not what they're saying. They're saying you don't need an elite quarterback.
I know.
They flourished with... He had Alex Smith when he started, right?
I think
when he first came in.
Yeah.
They flourished since he's been there with, above mediocre quarterbacks. And that's all they need. That's all they're saying is that we're not going to make the central point of this offense of the quarterback doing these crazy things. They're saying, stop us from running the ball. We'll figure you out. That's all they're saying.
The other thing the 49ers lost this offseason.
And they brought Steve Wilkes in.
I was going to say, they lost DeMeco Ryans as the defensive coordinator, but they brought in Steve Wilkes, who I really like. He was the guy who they should have hired in Carolina. But, news alert, he ain't white. So
you're saying that the owners are saying,
if you're not Caucasian, then leave.
Yes. That's basically, that's the most Carolina thing I've ever heard. So I still think
I think they're going to win the division.
The thing,
we'll talk about
the
it
49ers are absolutely loaded in the skill position.
Best roster in the league.
Department. They got McCaffrey. They got Debo. Ayuk has been getting better every year. They still have Kittle.
McCaffrey unlocked a lot, man, when they brought him in. Great trade.
Who was the
Great
other?
mid-season trade by 49ers.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant.
He just can't do quarterback stuff. Leave him out of the quarterback shit. Don't let him make crazy moves with quarterback.
I mean, I think whatever. He is what he is. Who's the other guy? Oh, Elijah Mitchell. He was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Is Nick Bosa still holding out?
Oh, he's holding out? I didn't know. But he'll be back. They'll figure that out. Yeah. They're where they at on cap space? They're pretty low cap space. 8.5 million in cap space. Well, let's go to Seahawks.
The Seahawks, I think that if there is a team in this division that could, if the 49ers slip, I think the Seahawks are like properly tooled to take this division. Nobody saw the Geno Smith thing coming last year. So if he comes back and does the thing that kind of worries me about the Seahawks is that they were so good for the first half of the season, and it was that Germany game. As soon as that Germany game hit, the Seahawks got real average. You know what I mean? They didn't get bad; they just got like average. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that their defense struggled to stop the run. They also had a lot of injuries. Kenneth Walker was kind of a surprise last year.
K9.
But he had some injury issues towards the end of the year. They got a new.
They shocked everybody last year.
They did shock everybody last year, and they still have Tyler Lockett, who,
I was just gonna say this.
Oddly enough, most people think of him as their wide receiver too, but if you look at the stats, like him and DK Metcalf are basically identical in the stat sheet.
They got a 1A and a 1B.
Exactly. And then they add this Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is kind of a freak. as far as a pass catcher is concerned. If you can get all three of those guys on the field at the same time, that's going to be interesting.
Nobody's writing them off anymore.
No, sir. Geno's for real.
They could win that division. They could ruin our bet if we decide to go with the 49ers. Rams. They could win the division.
Oh, yeah, sure. If the other two teams just don't show up.
Did you hear the Belichick quote yesterday?
No, what'd he say?
Belichick had a quote about, I want to get the exact quote. I was so surprised about how to build a team.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, I think I saw something.
He said
about
something. Damn, I can't find it, man. But he basically said, I'll say what he said. He said that you have different philosophies from building a team.
Yeah.
You can go out and you can dump a bunch of money in a team and get all these free agents.
Yeah.
Or you can build them through the draft, but one is more sustainable.
Right.
And that's why we had so many years of success, is that's the way we built our teams. And then he said, he mentions the Bucks.
Yeah.
And he mentions the Rams as teams that won the Super Bowl, which is what you want anyway. So he didn't say it was a negative thing.
Sure.
He said, but eventually that comes back around and bites you, and that's what's happening to those teams now.
Mm-hmm.
So candid and so true. And he was like, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's what happens.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So he never talks that much. But he spoke about that.
That's true.
I was loving it.
That being said, I think expectations in Los Angeles are quite low.
Yeah, and I said that to say that the Rams.
Yeah, I mean,
they spent their money.
Stafford is back from injury. We'll see for how long. If he gets injured, then they're going to have to roll with my man, former Bulldog Stetson Bennett, who has had some moments in the preseason, but has looked predictably like a interception machine. Their wide receiver core, obviously they still have Cooper Kupp, but then it's Van Jefferson and Ben Skoranek, who, I'm not sure what I would say about that. Cam Akers is back again.
He's supposed to been gone.
I mean, he had such a weird year last year. Like, he demanded to be traded, didn't get traded, and then suddenly had a pretty good second half of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are a team that's clearly paying for their Super Bowl win. They got
one more year.
They got a lot of rookies on defense.
They got one more year, and then Sean McVay can feel like, I can breathe again, because they'll have some money in the bank, and they'll probably have a high draft pick.
I think so.
At least enough capital to trade up, but he should stop fucking around with your picks, bro. Save your picks.
Yeah.
Build it like Belichick. And speaking of Belichick, like the Cardinals.
I mean, what do you say about the Arizona Cardinals?
I don't know, man.
I guess we mentioned it in the news breakdown that, I mean, they appear to be gutting the team of any kind of real talent. I don't like to say that teams are tanking, but
it feels like it.
But sometimes maybe we've said this before. It's the players are going to play.
Yep, they'll try their best.
The players are going to play hard.
But if you're supposed to be a 2,
but
you're going up against a 1.
But if you're telling me that the front office can't make some decisions that will lead to the worst possible roster, then I mean, this shit happens. You know what I mean? They're trying to set themselves up for failure, so that they can start over. And I think the owner probably has a grudge or an axe to grind with Kyler Murray. Remember, they had a sort of a public feud over his contract and the studying and all that kind of stuff. And
they still have the second most cap space in the league right now,
which tells you that they have no interest in winning.
No, that's fucked.
They got all this money and they're not interested in adding talent at all. And I feel bad for the players who are still there. You
think he's telling the coach, I'll give you $100,000 per loss? The owners?
We'll see.
And we played our game show already, the Kyler Murray game show. He's probably gonna be gone. Have you seen that Josh Allen Sunday Ticket commercial?
No.
Here's a commercial. There's a guy who's a Cardinals fan, and he's in the bushes, and he's looking through his neighbor's window because he doesn't have Sunday ticket,
Right.
but his neighbor does. And Josh Allen pops out of the bushes next to him in uniform and everything, and is like, "Dude, is this how you watch football?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't have Sunday ticket." So it's that type of commercial, right? And he's like, "Well, Sunday ticket's now on YouTube, blah blah blah." You know, they show a highlight of a Cardinal. It's the guys in Cardinals gear. So they show a Cardinals highlight a couple times as they talk about Sunday ticket and everything. And it's Kyler Murray at quarterback. And in the play, he rolls left and throws a bad pass. And they looped this play.
Why?
And I was like, what?
Why
couldn't
didn't
pick
they
a good highlight of
Why
Kyler
didn't they
Murray
show the
breaking ankles and shit?
Why didn't they show the Hail Mary to DeAndre Hopkins?
Show the Hail Mary to maybe
Well, I guess
because
he's not on the team anymore. But there was that one. He had some crazy plays last year.
He can do crazy
Remember
shit.
that shit where he like ran around like 5 different directions before he finally ran into the end zone? That was brilliant.
It was so funny. I was like, this is the play they choose for this commercial?
And it's an incomplete pass. It's like, what?
I was like, damn, they have no faith in the car. Like, they could have picked a fan of a different team that's still like a Chargers fan or something.
I feel bad for the American
maybe if
viewers.
you're a Cardinals fan, you don't want to pay for a Sunday ticket.
Why would you? Most analysts are saying like, okay, Cardinals fans, maybe this year you should just watch Red Zone. Like, why?
Go all in on fantasy.
Go all in on Red Zone and fantasy and all that kind of stuff, because it's like you're going to be screaming at your television.
That's why they need a relegation league. If there was a relegation league, they wouldn't have $36 million in cap space.
No, of course not.
That's why they need it, man. Fuck that, man. You're cheating your fans, man. I'm sorry, $27.5 million. 36 is the Browns. How the fuck do the Browns have so much cap space? They have the most cap space in the league, and they spending all this money on Deshaun Watson.
I wonder if his deal has. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
It's their dead money.
It's the dead
It's
money.
only $18 million.
Wow.
Good job, Browns. $46 million for the Cardinals.
Yeah, we'll get to the Browns. We'll get to the Browns and the rest of the AFC next week.
Yeah.
That's a big question mark for me, the Browns.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our
NFC breakdown, baby.
yeah. I still feel very confused.
I do too. I feel like I need to pour over it some more. We have to stick with this coach quarterback formula, but some of them it's offset. Like in the NFC West, best coach is probably Shanahan or McVay. You know what I'm saying? But quarterback,
It's Geno.
it's Geno. Pete Carroll's a good coach. You know what I'm saying? Kind of it's going to make it tough. I don't know, man. NFC North, best coach in the NFC North. It's kind of up for grabs, right?
No.
Is it LaFleur?
Yes. It's not up for grabs.
It's not O'Connell?
It's not even close to up for grabs.
Okay. Eberflus? No, just kidding.
I think LaFleur.
LaFleur, yeah, you're right. You're right.
This year will be very interesting, defining year for him. Of course, LaFleur has like a over 70% win percentage, and of course, people say, "Well, that's because he has Aaron Rodgers."
Yeah.
But I genuinely think that he's the best coach
I agree.
in that division.
NFC North. Yeah.
And I think this will be the year that
NFC East, that's a tough one. Best coach quarterback combo.
if things go well with Jordan Love, I think LaFleur will probably finally start getting maybe some of the praise that
he should get, yeah.
Should get.
I think it's going to go well. All right. This was fun.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
was fun. And look forward to some more talking, man, about the AFC next time. So y'all stick around. We appreciate y'all checking it out. This has been another episode of SveNFL, a long one too, man. Y'all got some good content this time. It's fun, man. Football's right around the corner. Stick with us. Soon it's going to be 2 times a week.
Let's go.
As we're talking about these games and how the games went and all of that. So it's been fun, man. And it's been Jonathan Rollins
And Schif Musara.
and the SveNFL. We'll holler at y'all later. Peace.
Later, y'all.